A police officer is on duty keeping the neighborhood safe when a woman surprises her by grabbing her gun and fleeing, running through the city streets after the suspect. The policewoman eventually spots her entering an apartment building's back door while still carrying a gun. The policewoman yells for the woman to stop right away as she runs toward her destination. The policewoman goes up the stairs and discovers the door still open as the woman enters one of the apartments. Upon observing this, the policewoman enters the apartment and is abruptly stopped by a woman who asks for assistance. The policewoman then moves in the direction the girl pointed out. The girl closes the door and follows the policewoman. The policewoman opens the door of the room cautiously and is immediately pushed inside by the girl, who quickly shuts the door and locks it, trapping the officer inside. The policewoman is desperate to get out when suddenly the other woman appears, asking if everything is all right. The girl tells her to remain calm and both moves toward the door. The policewoman orders the two of them to get her out before she serves them with an arrest warrant. The woman who had taken the gun pleads for help, but the policewoman doesn't understand the situation. The girl tries to explain, asking the policewoman to remain quiet, when they are suddenly interrupted by the sound of a slamming door. They run back into the living room, where the woman quickly hides the stolen gun under a pillow. Her sister then opens the door. Due to the delay, one of the men at the door loses patience and invites the other inside. The policewoman listens to the men talk while hiding and doesn't say anything. Both men quickly negotiate the girls, and the owner of the house asks the stranger for money while the policewoman becomes enraged. The girls observe as the older man hands the younger one some cash and as he counts, claims to be missing more bills. The stranger gets excited when the man explains that the taller woman has a higher value because, in his opinion, it would be more advantageous to remain with her. As soon as the men make a deal, the policewoman is afraid of what might happen, and the younger man drags the other girl out of the apartment. The older man approaches the woman and begins to take off his coat. The owner of the house returns and orders them to use his room, but the older man objects, saying that he has the right to use any room he chooses. Calmly, the man in charge simply orders the woman to behave and not cause trouble like the last time. Immediately after the young man leaves, the older one urges to begin, but the woman asks him to wait, and he starts to become excited until she tells him to calm down. Satisfied, he strokes her, but then orders the woman to hurry up. After all, he is paying for hours and has no time to spare. The woman approaches the police officer as she enters the room and begs for help. The officer tells the woman to remain calm and that she understands the situation. The woman responds that she has tried everything, at which point the officer says that she will take charge of the situation and won't let this happen to her or her sister. The policewoman tells the woman her strategy and requests that she kills time with the man. After thanking her, the woman holds the policewoman's hands with gratitude and leaves the room as the policewoman stays hidden. The man is waiting for the woman in the living room on the couch, and as soon as she settles in, he begins to stroke her hair and asks her to keep calm while he draws even closer and invades her privacy. When the woman tries to push the man away, he becomes enraged and claims that he has already paid for everything and she is required to stay with him. At that point, the man begins to yell and starts to unbuckle his belt, at which point the woman pulls a gun from under the cushion and declares that she is not required to do anything. Despite the man's desperation, the woman maintains her composure. She continues to threaten him as he sits down on the sofa, hands raised, yelling for help. She orders him to stay away as the owner of the house enters the room and asks what is going on. However, defying her commands, he approaches and claims that she does not know how to shoot. The woman starts arguing with him as he asks her to put the gun down. When the policewoman finally shows up, she calmly approaches the woman, asks her to hand over the gun, and then promises to save both the woman and her sister if she hands over the gun. The policewoman starts intimidating the men as soon as she gets her gun back. Suddenly, another officer shows up and yells for everyone to stay put. The officers continue to work as a team to immobilize the two men, then handcuff them and take them to the police station. The policewoman escorts the men involved and shuts the door. The sisters then find themselves hugging one another in relief that everything is fine. The policewoman approaches them at this time, a smile on her face, and she assures them that she has performed her duties as promised and that those men will never harm them again. The older girl thanks her for her assistance, and the policewoman responds that it was a pleasure to have helped with the investigation. They then hug and part ways with a sense of relief.